Last episode, we sold our star centre-back to Barcelona for £70 million. I need to add some defenders. I probably need to sell some more players too. The Premier League season is less than 2 months away. Today's a big transfer special. We are going to play Leeds later. Let's run the intro and get straight into things. Today, by the way, is episode number 64 of The Journey Manager. That is if you're including all the matches, all the clubs, everything we've done so far. Otherwise, I think today is episode number 8 with Newcastle. In case you can't tell by my lack of conviction, not entirely sure. As I've already mentioned, we sold one of our star players, managed to bolster our transfer budget a lot, but I'm looking at this overall balance thinking, probably going to need to do some more sales. Last summer, we really had to make the most of free transfers. We're looking to do that again here. Fausto Sanchez is the first of the signings that we are confirming this summer. This man has 18 caps for Argentina, was just being allowed to leave on a free by Man City. I've come in and said, don't mind if we do. Lacks a little bit in the dribbling department, but in terms of backup defensive mids, for a free transfer, it feels like a no-brainer. Now, of course, he is not the only free transfer that will be joining us in just under a week's time. On the 1st of July, finally, Gary Faye will join the club. This man is sensational. You can see here, going to be bringing £5.5 million in marketability to the club. That is rather important because he is going to be paid a hell of a lot of money. He has a really high world reputation. Hopefully, we get a boost in shirt sales. He's going to be playing out on the right-hand side. And we've also got Matteo Vial joining the club. These two guys, just amazing free transfers we were able to bring in. Of course, we're already a little bit stacked in that part of the pitch. I have been looking to move on players, and I will continue to look to move on players too. Now, one thing I saw a number of times in the comments was, Jack, Spike Britt's your goalie. Why is he not on the chopping block? Why are you not consider selling him? Well, one of the reasons, I'll be honest, is just how good his end to the season was. Second half of the season, he was absolutely sensational. I guess that is indicated by these average ratings across the board. A lot of clean sheets in our run to end the year. He was a big part of that. The other big factor, to be honest, is just he is homegrown in nation. Of course, in the Champions League, you need 4 homegrown at club players and 4 homegrown in nation players on top of those club players. In the league, we need 8 homegrown in nation players. He's an important part of that, and whilst, as I've kind of alluded to over the last couple of episodes, I have looked at moving on players like Chris Manning and Letal. The difference with these two players is I don't think I'd need to sign anyone to kind of solve the issue of them leaving, versus if I sold Spike Britt, well, it would just be very difficult to replace him. He's England's #1 goalie and he's in his prime. I don't get why I'd want to sell him. Oh, and of course, he is also one of the squad leaders, so if I was to force him out, it could get ugly. Unlike McKellar and Soa, who obviously we have started to force out, I just think Spike Britt would be a bit of a risk. Anyway, much in a similar vein to the last episode, I'm going to offer out some players. I'm going to get to the 1st of July. We'll welcome on in the new signings, say goodbye to McKellar, and discuss tactical tweaks, because I think this is going to have to change a little bit next year. Newcastle United. Well, we've received our record transfer fee. You can see here the previous record was Lewis Miley going to Brighton 5 years ago. Scott McKellar smashes that total at £70 million. He departs for Barcelona. Little bit sad to see him go, but I'm hoping there's going to be some decent centre-backs out there we can pick up. And of course, in terms of transfers in, the 3 Musketeers that I've already mentioned have joined the ranks. Gary Faye, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot how much money I was offering him in wages. Like I already mentioned though, that is largely going to be offset by his marketability. £5.5 million a year is what, per week, over £100,000. So whilst it might feel like I'm overpaying on the wages, I don't necessarily feel like we're overpaying by £100,000. I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of a hot take, but certainly upon his arrival, all the other star ratings of players in our squad have all been squished down and recalibrated. Now, if the season started tomorrow, I think this is how we'd line up for the coming year. Yes, gone are the days of the inside forward on the right-hand side. I think I would look to play Faye in his preferred winger role. Not sure if on support or attack. This is certainly one of those decisions where I kind of want to try and get the most out of a star player by playing him in his favoured role. If I don't feel like it isn't working out, though, there's no reason why he can't just revert back to an inside forward. You'll also notice in terms of instructions here, I have got cut inside with ball on. That was actually a new option added to wingers in FM24 that I really feel like I haven't used enough of this year. And I think within our system, it kind of makes sense. Elsewhere, set to Mark Tighter, their left back. That was something that's just a carryover from before. And for crosses from, I'm going for crosses from the byline. They are particularly potent in this match engine. And with some of the players we're going to have in the box, I feel like he could be very dangerous again getting it wide and whipping it into a dangerous area. In terms of the winger on the right, what that means for Semeraro, I've not overly decided yet. Of course, he is just set to be a wing-back on support with runs wide with ball. To be honest, there's a world in which I might try and tell him just to sit narrower, or at the very least, maybe just try cuts inside with ball. It's something I've used with mixed success. Of course, Semeraro, one of our star players, always feels like a little bit of a shame to compromise his role and what made him so good last year, but Faye is just good enough to justify it. Now, in terms of transfers out, there is one big one going on. Chris Manning departing the club for almost £40 million. Of course, we got a little bit more than that offered for him earlier on in the window, but then he turned down the move. I'm desperately hoping he is going to move on. This guy is a natural striker. We don't play with strikers. He's good out on the right-hand side, but I've now got Faye, and he's just going to be quite far down the pecking order. And to be honest, to get £40 million for a man who a number of points last year was complaining about a lack of first-team football, I feel like it just kind of makes sense. He wasn't exactly the best player in our team. He wasn't awful by any means either, but we're going to double our money on what was paid for him 2 years ago. Elsewhere, Dominic Littell, I've offered out. No one wants to buy him. Elsewhere, Manu Signs, I've offered out. People don't want to sign him. They want to loan him and not pay any of his wages. This guy is on £140,000. I am going to be trying to get rid of him all summer, I fear, without any success, because right now no one wants him, and it kind of makes sense why they wouldn't want him. Overall, though, our squad size right now does sit at 27 players. I think there is going to be a focus now on trying to get rid of a few more players if we can. Obviously, the transfer window is now open around Europe. Maybe that's going to open up some opportunities. I'm going to come back as and when deals are happening. I need to add some depth for centre-back as well. Obviously, we've just lost our star centre-back. And when I look at the remaining options in my ranks, I kind of look at Devella and I look at Raveda and think, you guys were great transfers to just do on the cheap last summer. I kind of need to get some better players in. I can't have Egbo being the fourth choice centre-back when I'm playing a back three. That would be mental. We have had some TV prize money, and obviously the Manning sale potentially going to go through too. Our overall balance is now at 54 million. I think actually that is just the money we received through the sale of McKenna. But I feel suddenly a whole lot better about things. The transfer budget's looking healthy. There's some money to spend. I'm going to go see what's out there. This is really annoying because I've kind of thought, well, maybe I should start signing some younger players to the team. And Alvaro Sosa was a man I really wanted. Release clause of £5 million. He's turned me down to go to Manchester United. I'm fine. Yeah, I am looking to sell some players still. I'll talk about that in a moment because that has been a rather big sale. But I have kind of come around to the idea that I kind of need a next generation in this squad. When you look at the bulk of this first team, there's a load of players in their kind of mid to late 20s. And well, when you look at players on the younger side of things, there's really none besides Kirillov, who's the backup goalie who we signed last year, who, to be fair to him, has developed really well. And the other man we've brought in is Diego Tufano, who we signed last year. Again, a player with some real potential who I'm hoping to give more minutes to. They are the only bits of talent I have. And so Sosa really fit that mould of cheap, affordable youngster I could pick up for maybe the next couple of seasons in mind. And he's going to Manchester United, so I'm fuming. That said, though, it's not all a complete disaster. Look at the overall balance yet. I've sold someone. I wish I could say I've sold more than one person, but I got one sale done. And perhaps somewhat predictably, it is Chris Manning. He has headed to Hertha Berlin for £39.5 million. I'm pretty happy with this as an end result. He was a player who was going to find himself further and further down the pecking order in terms of right midfield options. I'm also really liking versatility in our attacking mid players. And it does mean that our combined kind of sales thus far this year sit at £110 million versus our spend of £15 million, of which there's a semi-familiar face here. Yeah, look, I've made a signing from Atramitos, and it's actually a man who we never got to see play in Atramitos colours while I was there, but I was the man who agreed to bring him to the club. We have here Abdul Ado, Finnish international, signed on a free transfer for Atramitos. We've picked him up for £7 million. He's a decent little centre-back, nice jumping reach. I'm not going to pretend he is different gravy, but he's much better than what we already had in terms of depth. And look at the wages. £48,000 for a player this good. Fee paid £7 million. Pretty happy with it. I did, though, mention the pressing need to maybe sign a centre-back or two. I've got two so far. I might continue to look for more. Gustav Lundqvist here, Swedish international, 37 caps, 23 years old. We snapped him up for his release clause from Udinese. Annoyingly, these two centre-backs I've signed were signed on free transfers by their respective clubs at the start of last year. But in Lundqvist's case here, you can see he played 38 games in Serie A last year, 23 years old, comes in as a squad player. He is really really good. In fact, if I just compare him with De Vella, who was our backup last year, you can just see how much of a straight upgrade this is. Makes me feel really, really good about the coming year. His wages weren't too unreasonable either, and when you consider we've signed these two players for a combined fee of less than 16 million, I feel like it's just a sensible use of money. Now, there are a couple of transfers that are going on. De Vella, I'm looking to just get £3.6 million for. We signed him on a free transfer. I've already kind of just shown you guys. He's kind of just surplus to requirements now in terms of centre-back depth. And the other man I'm looking to sign is this guy here, Mauro Gasparini. He was available on the loan list from Liverpool, but then I saw that his valuation was £2 million. We are currently scouting him, so I'm hoping we're going to get more information about him soon. But he's 18 years old, and he played 5 games in the Premier League last season for Liverpool. They've accepted a bid for him of £2.5 million, which in my mind makes absolutely no sense. Crazy speed. I'm not going to pretend he's the best defender in the world, but he's 18, and for less than, what, £2.5 million? He could be a bargain. Obviously, pending the scout report. I'm not going to confirm the signing until I know if he's good or not. I suppose just a general tip if you're playing Football Manager, don't wait for scout reports to get the balls rolling on transfers, especially if there's some interest in said player. It's better to just try and get the deal done early and then delay it as long as you need to actually make an informed decision on how good the player is. Now, sadly, Manning is the only sale that we've made, and with the new additions, we've not really trimmed down the first team all that much. We're currently looking at a squad size still of 27 players, which is really as large as I want it to be. But what I will say is there is a load of transfer budget and a little bit of wage budget. I mean, I can do some shuffling around of things here to make it all look in keep. Worth noting, our overall balance is now at £73 million, which is absolutely amazing. Given the fact I'm struggling to move on players, I think my renewed focus between now and the start of the season is probably going to be to just try and get some free transfers in. Our first game of the year is against Leeds. We're actually playing them in a pre-season friendly, but that league game is a little over a month away. I feel like right now I don't want to sign any more first teamers till I sell players on. So I guess that's going to be the mission now. Now, when I left you last time, I really hoped this wouldn't be the situation that I'd be coming back at the start of the season, because it means I didn't manage to sell any players that I wanted to sell. Yeah, looking at the transfer history here, you'll notice that De Vella has left, but in terms of other transfers out, it's actually just 2 players that I've loaned out that I just signed because, well, as I think I mentioned when I left things, I kind of come to the realisation maybe young players is the way to go. Speaking of which, we did end up picking up Gasparini from Liverpool. I'll be honest, my scout said he had a load of potential. He's joined us and now it feels like he doesn't have any potential at all. But we are going to be training him to play at left wing back. He's going to be part of the first team, but mostly just playing for the youth team setup. I still feel like for £2.5 million, this guy is worth an absolute punt. And yeah, I'm going to try and give him some minutes if I can. Elsewhere, we did sign another player from an English club in Charlie Routledge. This guy had a non-promotion release clause with Stoke that we activated, £700,000. I feel like we've had their pants down there and robbed them. This guy's 19 years old, little bit of potential about him, crazy physicals, amazing dribbling. We have a lack of homegrown nation players. I'm going to hope that this guy can be a player who is just great longer term for us. For £700,000 though, not exactly expecting him to make a splash in the first team immediately, but I do view him as a really useful player to have who's either-footed and can play on both wings. Anyway, now we come on to 2 players that I signed for the sake of things, but I signed them mostly because I could loan them back to the clubs I was buying them from, and next year, or maybe the year after, I can sell on the players that are older, that play their respective positions, and look to promote from within. Here we have Javi Benitez. He's great. He can play anywhere down the spine of the team. I think, though, for us, he will be playing as a defensive midfielder. As far as registers go, there is a couple of gaps in his game. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but he is 19 years old with a media description of Wonderkid. Some nice potential about him as well. A little bit consistent. Hopefully, he's going to do well for Real Betis. And elsewhere, we've signed Mamadi. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This guy was playing for Zurich, which was a little bit interesting. We've signed him for £7.5 million and immediately loaned him back. They've given me assurances he's going to get regular minutes. He can play in the middle. He can play on the right. Look at these mentals. Look at these technicals. I really like the look of him. Again, another player with a media description of Wonderkid, has professional personality as well, which is really, really good. It is one of the oldest tricks in the book, but if you're newer to Football Manager, you might not know this, but if you want to quickly have a general look at some Wonderkids, set your age range to a appropriate age range, and then for your view, you are going to need to insert a general view, and then media description, and then from here, annoyingly, you're going to have to sort by the media description and scroll until you find the players under the category Wonderkid. If you're not seeing players listed as Wonderkids interested in transfers because you're further down, look at the players with promising winger or promising striker or promising whatever position they play. They can be good too. So there's a cluster of Wonderkids here. These might be players that are all just worth scouting. Some of these I've already got scouted, and if for whatever reason you want to keep track on these players' developments, of course you could just add them to a custom shortlist. This can also be useful if you're doing longer term planning to find all the players with a Wonderkid media description, maybe even kind of realistic transfers. Annoyingly now all the Wonderkids have vanished, but basically shortlist them all, get them scouted, and then if there's some that are good, they might be quite good. And if you are wondering, Jack, why do you have to insert the column instead of just searching for media description Wonderkid? Football Manager decided you're not allowed to search by media description, so we just have to work around it, I guess. Now, I'll be completely honest with you, the start of the season has kind of caught up on me and crept up on me. I was mashing continue, offering out players repeatedly, not really getting anywhere, moving players on, and suddenly it was just the start of the season. In terms of my planned 11 for the year, this is the starting 11 that I think we're going to go with. Hamilton is going to be kind of promoted from within. He is a player who came through the club academy here, who I want to give some regular minutes to. He is our vice-captain, and at 28 years old, frankly, he should be playing more matches than he played last year. Elsewhere, we have got Faye out on the right-hand side, but the fundamental issue here was I didn't want to go crazy signing players because we've not got money, but also because the first team was already quite large, and I suppose the interesting thing about this team is less so the players selected and that are on the pitch and on the bench, but actually more so the players that aren't currently in the squad, because there's players here like Letal, who I would love to move on, who has a little bit of interest in him, but no one's making bids. I really don't want to sell him for less than £20 million, but to be frank, just freeing up the wages would be quite nice at this point. It would save me £5 million a year on a player who at 27, I can safely say, is never going to be a regular starter for us. I guess Signs falls into an annoyingly similar bracket. A player with 2 years left on his contract. I've offered him out for £15 million. No one wants him. I'm just going to hope that as we get closer to deadline day, maybe there's a better chance to move these guys on. I've asked intermediaries, I've asked their agents. In Signs' case, I actually offered him out for £0, just to see if there was literally any interest. No one wants to pay his wages. And it is really frustrating because there probably would be a little bit of money to spend if I wanted to. We are currently over the wage budget. I will just rejig a tiny bit of budget here just for my own personal satisfaction. But the club's overall balance for the first time in a very long time sits in the positives. You can see, in fact, it's not been in the positives and at this kind of range since September 2034. And the difference between now and this previous era that the club's just gone through, where there was a load of money being lost, is this year we are in the Champions League. That does have significant prize money and TV money with it. Yeah, I don't really want this game to become accountant manager, but I feel like the financial situation this team finds itself in is rather dire. I'm a little bit frustrated that the wage budget has crept up like it has, but obviously in the case of Faye, he is kind of bringing this marketability that covers his wages. And, well, we have just a little bit more money in terms of the initial bank balance that as we progressively make a loss through the year, it's hopefully not going to get as bad as minus £100 million like last year. You can see the board currently have a rating for me of an A-, which is nice. And in terms of the aims for this year, they want us to qualify for the Europa League, reach the Champions League proper, which, if I'm not mistaken, we're guaranteed to do. And they want me to sign players to sell for a profit, which I am really trying to do right now. One cool thing to note is that with Faye arriving on a free transfer, he is now in the Media Dream 11 in the Premier League. So yeah, the expectations for this guy are creeping up and up and up. In terms of key players across the whole league, he's actually the 4th highest player. I believe this is players ranked by reputation, although I'll be honest, both the Media Dream 11 and the key players on the competition overview screen, they do always feel a little bit random. And I guess the same can be extended to the season preview, where for this year we are predicted to finish 6th, and if we could get as high as 6th or 5th, that'd be quite good, I think. Now, obviously, in terms of team news, not a lot has really changed going into this year. I've already discussed the changes made to the team to kind of facilitate Faye. Curtis at left wing-back is carrying a little bit of a knock for today's game, so we're going to bring in Egbo to start. He is a player who I did actually at one point explore selling, but there just wasn't really interest in him, so we're going to keep a little bit of faith in the backup left wing-back. The reason for moving him on, to be honest, was I did wonder if I could just play Diego Tofano at left wing back in an absolute emergency. And on top of that, We have also got someone like Velasco, who I'm training to play left wing back now. Sadly, I literally decided I wanted to train him to play it today. So that is a bit of a patience thing. But maybe longer term, we do look to move on Egbo. Over on the bench, I'm not going to pretend there's a load of new players here either, really, to be honest. Obviously, Lundqvist is going to be just the 4th choice centre-back this year. I expect him to get some fairly decent minutes. And elsewhere, Vial, who we signed on a free transfer, also finds himself on the bench. There are other players like Mario Ivkovic, who's on significant wages, who I did look to sell. I did actually get a bid from him this summer. It was £15 million from Manchester United. For obvious reasons, I did decide to turn that down. Now, in this universe, Leeds United have now been an established team for 10 years straight. Their media prediction is 12th. I don't necessarily think this one's going to be easy, but I'm still expecting to get a win on the road. Okay, let's see how we fare today. Leeds United are playing with Facunda in the midfield. Of course, we sold him right at the beginning of the summer yesterday. In terms of our team, I didn't really talk about it enough, but Soa last year played for us out on the right-hand side, with Faye coming in and making his debut. Soa, who I'd argue is probably our second best player, and of course someone we did look to sell. Spoilers, no one wanted to sign him and he didn't really want to leave. He's now going to have a new spot in the team playing as that attacking midfielder on support. I do think that might suit his playstyle a little bit better than how we have been using him previously. Okay, well, if we were expecting an explosive start to our first game of the season, it's not really happened. And Soretti's now got injured. I love Football Manager. Right, Mario Ivkovic. On you come, I guess. What an awful start to the year. Okay, well, we've waited a while for this moment, but 40 minutes in, it is the first game of the season. And it's the first highlight of the season as well. McAllister bringing it forward on the far side to the byline. He is their star man. Deflected across Bassoni. Looping header goes just over. Soa whipping it in towards the back post. Junjun Huan dipping header. Oh my word. The GOAT does not miss. Please tell me this is not going to be disallowed. It was such a satisfying header from our big lanky centre attacking mid. Michael Oliver is consulting VAR. The goal is awarded, and yeah, look, it's a set piece, but it's a Soa assist to his partner in crime in the attacking mid area, and that's one of the most satisfying headers I think I've seen in Football Manager this year. That was dirty. Okay, well, half-time in this game, we're 1 goal up with an XG of 0.01. A 1% header by Junjun Huan. What a man. I'm going to tell the players I'm far from happy, though. I'm kind of joking a little bit in jest here. Looking at the stats, we've not had nearly enough of the ball, really. We've limited Leeds' opportunities, but we need to see more, especially from our star man in Faye, who, well, might have a chance to shine here. Big Deli bringing it forward. Options inside. Junjun Huan is in behind. 1-on-1. Could he finish it again? Of course he can. 2 goals for the season. He was top goal scorer last year. Think he wants to be it again this season. I did mention, didn't I, about the whole kind of wing-back situation with Semeraro. How's it going to work with another winger? Well, on this occasion, it created a space for Big Deli to pick out a superb through ball and set us up for a goal 23 seconds into the second half. I've not really discussed my aims for the year. Obviously, I kind of alluded to the fact I think just kind of sustained Champions League football this year would be a really good aim to go for. Leeds United, with that in mind, are a team that we need to be beating. And while we are beating them by 1 goal or 2 goals, it very nearly did get cut to 1 goal there. We've blocked a shot in the box. They're still on the attack here. It's Pitman to McAllister. Pitman, yet again, whipping it towards the back stick. Spike Brits comes out and collects it. And now we look to make something happen. Brits, by the way, so far on a 7.2 rating in this game. He's not had a load to do, but he's doing what he needs to do as well. We now look to try and bring this ball out from the back. Semeraro, Big Deli, the Regista, going on a wander, gives it to Junjun Huan. 2 men to his left. Holds up the play really nicely. Ivkovic, Big Deli, Egbo, build-up play superb. Back post, Junjun Huan. Oh, I thought he was about to get a hat-trick. It hit the post. It flew across the goal mouth, but didn't end up in the back of the net. Okay, we're 2 goals to the good. I'm going to look to bring in some fresh legs here. I'm going to bring in Munoz, and actually I'm going to play Munoz at wing-back today as a bit of an experiment, because I do want to bring in Forsto Sanchez, the new signing we got from Man City, to play in the defensive mid-area. Sadly, I think because of his lack of kind of ball-playing ability, I am just going to play him as a defensive mid on support. As for Munoz, I'm not going to pretend he's the best wing-back in terms of physicals and crossing, but his mentals and ability on the ball, I think, will tailor him well to kind of the kind of wing-back who tucks in maybe slightly more often. Speaking of which, totally forgot to make sure that the cut inside with ball instruction was on the wing-back during my pre-season experiments. I'm going to put it on now. Well, we're coming up to 20 minutes left in this game. I'm not going to pretend that we've been a dominant force here, but we've just proven ourselves to be a team that are annoying and difficult to beat. And I feel like sometimes that's what you need to be. Defensively resilient, just frustrating other teams, and then as they overcommit men forward, chasing a match late on like this, maybe we can go on to extend our lead. Munoz, the wing-back, brings it forward. Junjun Hwan has an assist. It's 3-0. It's game over. Did mention about this experiment, didn't I? Munoz at wing-back. We might have to pursue this experiment further. I did not hypothesize an assist like that. We are 3-0 up here with an XG of less than 1. It could go from bad to worse. The ball's whipped in. We've hit the woodwork. Hughes, rebound, hits the outside of the post as well. Tell you what, I did not like the idea of this game for the first game of the year, but in the end, we have won this rather convincingly. Leeds, frustrated and limited in their opportunities. I think some clinical finishing from us was the ultimate difference maker. And well, it was a hat-trick for Junjun Hwan for the first game of the season. Which, I'm going to be honest, that's pretty bloody satisfying, isn't it? I'll openly admit it's very early on in the season, but we're in the top 4, baby. Admittedly, yeah, like I said, one game played and Soretti's out for 3 to 4 weeks. That makes me sad. Faye makes his Newcastle debut. I'll tell you what, I kind of forgot that was happening. He really didn't do a lot in that game, did he? You know who did do a lot, though? I'm not going to say his name anymore. I big him up too much, don't I? Right, well, you know what? There is a little over 2 weeks left of the transfer window. I think I'm going to struggle to sign players without already moving players on. Just because, as I've already mentioned, the first team's just a little bit big. But actually, the first team we've got, I think, is capable of the task at hand. I'm just a perfectionist who always wants to improve his squad. And naturally, when, for the first time in a little while, I do actually have some money to spend, I kind of want to spend it. Admittedly, there's actually not that much of it left. Maybe I should just go out and find some more youngsters. This Newcastle United team has not played Champions League football in over a decade. That is going to change this season. I hope you guys are ready for it. Let me know how I should spend my remaining money. Should I be selling on players? Who should I be selling on? Like, who here just doesn't have a right at the club? Let me know down in the comments. Have a lovely, lovely rest of your day. We'll be back on Friday to end the week with a big one. Until then, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.